So I'm going to explain some of these crazy, I guess you would call it a barrier, that when you're trying to do a simple thing for your disability, like get a ride service to the doctor or to stuff like that, how the state and your doctors don't quite help you at all. So I've already signed up with this service about 2 years ago. I have two copies of that number then. I have a copy from my doctor, and I have a copy from the New Hampshire worker. Okay? Before, when I signed up, they had some qualifications that wouldn't work with the doctor's qualifications, and that was a problem. But I've changed doctors that allows it to be a little easier, but it doesn't do pharmacy and there's certain things that aren't allowed. But at least with the doctors I have now, it should be able to be worked in, but there's a new problem. So I've spent about now 6 months trying to get a hold of these people. And before, they already had me on like the waiting list, off the waiting list, all that, just to tell me there was some, red tape that I would have to get rid of, like change my doctor or something. And here's the number I'm looking at. I'm not going to give the whole number, but it's 877-671. Now, the last four I'll leave blank. Now, I have three different numbers for them, and I've called all three, two of which are completely non-working, one of which was my own, where I wrote down, and the other one was on a piece of paper that they gave me, and this one's from the Department of Health and Human Services, and I had them run it 3 times. I wrote it down, and I have a paper copy of it, so I know it's right. I know this number is correct, but I'm going to call the number, and you can hear what happens on the other line. That way you have an idea of what's going on and how ridiculous the system is broken. This is a broken society. All you tell me there's a service I can use, and then I'm not able to use it. That's not right. Ugh, gotta stop talking while dialing. Okay, now I'm gonna call it and put it on speaker so you can hear how ridiculous this is. And it's still, there's nobody on the line. Hello, anybody there? It's no longer ringing, so it's like somebody picked it up and put the phone off the hook. I don't know what they did, but there's nobody on the other line, but yet I can't redial because it says that it's still in use. Yep, we're at 24. It's not glowing anymore. We're at 33, 34 seconds. And it says that they answered. They picked up the phone. I don't hear anybody. Hello? Hello? Just took it off speaker. Hello? Anybody there? I'll put it back on speaker. Hello? Anybody on the other line? We're at 53 seconds, 54 seconds of this call. So the call went through, but there's nobody on the other line. And this is a landline that I know. I've tested the line several times. It works just fine. There's no problem on my end. But this is how they keep people from getting help. This is how they try to, today and maybe all month, I won't be able to get a hold of them. That way, my insurance, I can't use it to get this ride service. I am left rideless. I can't get to the doctor unless I crawl there. You see how ridiculous this is? I've spent years working with these ride services, and this is what I have to deal with. I'll have to go down in person. That's usually when they play these games. The best thing to do is go down in person repeatedly. Sometimes they have faraway addresses too. They'll book it really, really far from where they actually give the service, just to make sure people have a difficulty doing that. Keep that in mind. This is the broken system in society that we need to fix. If you give me a number from you're my doctor, the Department of Health and Human Services, and it plays games like this, we're still on the line, still on speaker. 2 minutes in, it still says somebody picked up the other line, and we have it on speaker too. It's not, the line isn't going dead. I'll hang up the phone, and I'll do it again before I stop this video. Okay, it's off speaker. I'm dialing. Double checking the number. It's absolutely correct. There's nothing wrong with the number at all. dialing it, putting it on speaker. And you wouldn't be able to hear it that loud, the dial, if it wasn't. Now you hear that? Now it's going to go, Yeah, at least they hung it up this time. At least they hung me up. See what I'm talking about? They play games. They probably heard everything I was saying, too. But there was nobody on the other line. Nobody answered me. And I've used other phones to try to get a hold of them, too. Cell phones that are fine. And it's the same little game. They play games to keep people from using the services they need. And it's a good strategy to save the rich money, keep them from having to pay taxes, keep on giving money to our large military. But there's no reason for it. We can fix this very easily. We can at least bring it back to the equality that we had in the 70s. If we can at least get it back to at least that level of care, that level of quality, equality, then I think that that's a start. Let's try to at least get the equality from back in the 70s where things where all these lines kind of met. When you look at the graphs and the charts and you look at a lot of these people who have been studying it for 50 years or so, there's something really wrong that's happening here. And we really need to try to think of what happened. Why are all these lines spreading out? Why are all these services just shutting off? Why is there so many loopholes? Why are there so many people who can't get help? There's people who can't get housing, people who can't see doctors, people who can't get health care, and the job market is all messed up. As well as corporations are profiting more and more every year. We're producing more and more every year. There's no reason why this should be happening. You know, they try to say that we don't make enough in America when actually, when you look at the charts, we make just as much as we ever did. We just use a lot of machines. There's less jobs in that industry, but we're producing quite a bit still. I mean, we can always produce more, but you got to figure out when we produce more, who's benefiting from that, who's gaining, and who's getting hurt.